I can be depressed without self-hatred. It's never far away. I mean, it's some form of that. I mean, it may even feel like a lesser self-hatred, like just a being all pissed off at myself. But that's if we're using this analogy to picking up a drink, we're somewhere in there where there is that self-deprecation, that self-condemnation. Somewhere in there, we are making the agreement. Those of us, you, Patrick, and me, Thom, the recovering people, are saying yes to picking up the drink. The guy in our head, this is one of the things the saboteurs in our head, whether they be addiction, whether they be eating disorder, whether they be, self-hatred, obsession, compulsion, those kinds of things. One of the things I like to point out to people is that none of those people can make us do anything. Then we'll go back to our easily identifiable analogy here, which is alcoholism can do a number on us. It can. I mean, it's like a great con artist, a wonderful lawyer, whatever you want to say, a great salesman can do a number on us to sell us on the idea that this time is okay. This is the exception to the rule. We can pick up the drink this time, or you deserve it this time, or all help is lost. So why not? Why the fuck not? I mean, it'll take whatever slant it needs to make its point. But it can talk us in. But what I want people to know when they get into the place where they're going with their alcohol or drug use is, I can't help it. Go like, yes, that part's not true, because somewhere in there we say yes. We say yes to this. And it's like, and this is just as true, I believe, I've discovered through working with other people and using my own craziness as a way to map some of this territory, is that we have to really put it into some serious slow-mo. I love that about football games these days. They can go so slow. It's like you see every little detail, and we need to be able to do that so that we can figure out where at what point am I saying yes to the self-deprecation, the self-condemnation, or the self-hatred, so that we can, because that's not going to help us get out of it. And in fact, what it's going to do, I don't know if it necessarily deepens it. Maybe it deepens it, but I know it gets in the way of solving the problem. I know like today, being in a depressed, and I've kind of been dealing with depression of late, but I was taking a walk with my dog because I do what I do with my practice, which is I got up and walked with my dog for my dog's sake, not for my sake, because I have depression and I didn't want to walk anywhere. I just wanted to sit or lie down. But he loves doing that. So that helps me. And I get out there and I realize as I'm walking along that I am specifically, this is where this terminology comes. Just today, I was thinking, I'm thinking I am in depression, but and go to the emotional sobriety part, the stuff that Alan talks about a lot, what's the unenforceable rule? What's the expectation that is unrealistic? The goal is always get through the depression so that I can feel better, or at least better enough to get done the things I need to get done.
Yes.
And what I realized today, I mean, now we'll see how this practices out, because once I have a realization, that's a matter of how can I turn this into a practice? I can be depressed and just live my life with my depression, not in a oh poor me, martyr kind of way, but just the idea of, I think, okay, well, whatever this depression is, however much of it's my brain, however much of it is my programming from early childhood that just doesn't get shaken off on entirely, whatever it happens to be, whether it be the damn weather, it doesn't matter. Whatever it is, I've spent a considerable amount of my life in this state of feeling. And it's like, and I look back and go like, okay, how much time have I of just getting things done in my life have I lost because even if I wasn't being horrible to myself, that I was just wasting the time because I wasn't getting things done because I was waiting to feel differently. As soon as I feel differently, I will get this done. I mean, I literally was lying down there after I came back from the walk in my depressed state. What I do is I go back in and I lie down again. And I don't know if what we're recording is right now is what's going to be on our YouTube, but it's like, I obviously have something to say.
Right. And I think that the nutshell is about depression, and what you said about walking Lucas is fundamental, because it gets you on your feet. It's the thing that you align your purpose with. that isn't springing from your feelings, from the tumultuous consciousness. It's you're running your waking life on a program that isn't just anchored to how depressed you are.
Oh my God, what you just said, that's it. This may be oversimplified, but walking Lucas is what I do instead of picking up the drink.
Absolutely. That's exactly what it
Because
is. Yeah.
I always point out to people, it's like, we don't tell people when they come into AA, don't drink. We say, don't drink and go to meetings. Don't drink and call your sponsor. Don't drink and write in your journal. Don't drink or, do this. It's always paired with something else. And I'm talking about not picking up the drink of self-hatred, of like, what do I do instead? Well, I'm doing something that is good for my dog and good for, and it's not lost on me that it's good for me to do that. It doesn't mean I don't feel crappy when I feel it, or I don't have mainly anxiety that comes up because I'm dealing with that kind of stuff. I do have that additional ability nowadays, like you're talking about, that when you hear somebody else doing it, that they realize, well, to borrow from Alan's language too, to differentiate ourselves from our experience. This is my experience, but it's like, but I have something to say about it. And whereas in the past, I have always just thought I was having to wait it out. I think I'm doing a better job these days of taking action. And if there's a main point I'm making to myself, whether that's useful to somebody else or not today, is the idea is, don't wait for your depression to lift. Don't you can sit there. I can sit there with self-compassion and wait till my depression lift and then go get busy. But the truth is, I'm getting, in April, I'll be 69 years old. It's like, I have a feeling I'll be in this state of being for a considerable amount more time while I'm still on this earth. The truth is, I have a lot of things I want to get done. These are things I want to do. I want to accomplish. And so I want to use my time more wisely. And so I'm making the decision and sharing that with you today and anybody else who's listening, that I'm adjusting my practice to say, it's less waiting and more doing.
That's pretty much my resolution as well, because
Good.
I kill a bunch of time not feeling the best.
Oh man, and that's the term I use. I can kill time. I am a time killer. It's like when I always tell people with some humor, but there's really a lot of truth. If you ask me what did you do this weekend, I go nothing. I know people who, when they say nothing and you ask them more details about what they did a lot.
Yeah.
If I ever say I did nothing, I did nothing. Whenever I can't have a resolution in the second or third ring out, beating myself up for beating myself up, I need to go out to the next level and have compassion for that. So now I can have compassion for beating myself up for beating myself up. It's like, but I'm coming from a place of compassion. You and I both know people make the mistake a lot of times with depression, and they'll say, oh yeah, I've been sad, when they think that is depression. It's like, sadness is not depression. And anybody who has depression knows that sadness is not depression. But you're making the point to me that we do feel sad about it. We feel sad about it's a grief in a way, and specifically you and I are talking about grief of lost time. So yeah, and I am not today, I can honestly say I'm not beating myself up for lost time. I'm feeling encouraged that through the work that I'm doing, the reading I'm doing, the writing I'm doing, and conversations that you and I are having, I'm moving to improve my practice.